I'll read that again. And now when John had heard in the prison the works of Christ, he sent two of his disciples and said unto him, Art thou he that should come, or do we look for another? And I want to preach to you on the thought, there is no other. There is no other. We live in a world, brother and sister, where people are always looking for another. You can look at things. If you have a cell phone, after a while you want another one. The one you have, now my wife is laughing because hers don't work and she wants another one, and I need to figure that out. But anyway, the one you have may work already, but you still want another one many times. Or perhaps a computer. And you see some people that are really into technology, and their whole mindset is, man, I want a faster computer. They're looking for another. Or maybe it's a job. I just don't like my job. I just don't like the people where I work. I just don't like the thing that I do, whatever the case is. And so then you start looking for another. Maybe it's your house. It's not big enough. It's not the way what I really want or how I really want it. In other words, people are never satisfied with what they have. They claim to be thankful, and I will say that they are because that's what they claim, but they're always looking for something else to, so to speak, satisfy them or bring them joy or whatever they're looking for from it. And so they look for a house, or perhaps it's a car. Oh, I like this car, and I want that car. And I'm not saying it's wrong to have things. I'm like anyone else. I like things. And so if I see something I like and I have the money to afford it, then I will purchase it. I will buy it. That's if I really want it. Now, I'm one of them people that I can walk through the whole mall and not buy one thing. It won't bother me one bit. You can't put a big enough selling sign in the window for me to trouble me. I may go into your store, but it better be the sale I want so that I buy it. I'm not one of those people that just because I got money in my pocket, it burns a hole in it and I got to spend it. So that's not who I am. And so I don't always buy things because I can. What I'm saying is, but I like everyone else. If I see something I like, something that appeals to me, something I think that I would be interested in having, I will purchase it like everyone else. But there are some people that are never satisfied with where they're at or what they have. They can be in a relationship, and because certain things are not working well, they'll find another person to date or another person to go out with because they're just not satisfied. The disciples wasn't really that way when John sent them. John sent them because he had heard of the works of Jesus and what was being done. And it really began to speak to John. And John perhaps began to wonder, there can't be anybody else other than Jesus doing this. Nobody has the power. Nobody has the authority to do all these works. But John's in prison. And so what John is looking for is confirmation that this is Jesus. So he sends two of his disciples, and they go and they find Jesus, and they said, John sent us because he wanted to know, are you the one that should come, or should we be looking for another? Is this really what God is doing? Are you really the Lord, the Messiah? Or is this something that we're just seeing and someone is putting a great show on? Should we be looking for another? It wasn't that they wasn't satisfied. It was simply that they were trying to understand. And we find ourselves in that same situation at times. God could be doing something in your life, around you. And because God is doing it and he didn't show you or tell you ahead of time, you start wondering, is this God? Is it really God? Perhaps there are things happening in your life and you're trying to understand, God, are you allowing this? Is it you that's ordaining this in my life? Why am I doing this? Why? It's not that you're not sure or not always sure that God would allow things. It's simply the fact that sometimes you're wondering, is this God? Is this of God? Is this the doings of God? That's where these were. So Jesus, in our Bible reading, put John's question, desire, and issue to bed. He put it to bed by simply saying to them, go tell John. Go tell John what you hear and what you see. Go tell John. Jesus didn't say tell John this or tell John that. He said go tell John what you hear and what you see. In other words, they had been around Jesus long enough that they had seen the blind eyes open. They had seen the deaf ears open. They had seen the lame walk. They had seen the miracles of God and how that they were raised from the dead and that the gospel was being preached to the poor. He said, go tell John what you see and go tell John what you hear. He said, and that's going to be enough confirmation for John to understand that I am the Christ. And that you need not to look for another. And so they traveled back to John to tell John this, and the Bible lets us see, brother and sister. John, in the confirmation of this, no doubt, dissatisfied John. And so I want to talk to you about there is no other. The first thing I want to talk to you about is there's no other like Jesus. You'll never find anybody like Jesus. You can look for another, but you're never going to find another like him. You can search and you can pray and hope and do all things, but you'll never find anybody like Jesus. Only Jesus can save. Only Jesus can do exceeding and abundantly and above that which you can ask or even think. Only Jesus can work real miracles. There are folks that can play with magic and do a little bit of here and there and abracadabra. But when you need a miracle, you know that there's nobody that can work miracles like Jesus. John, Nicodemus confirmed this to us when he professed. There in John chapter 3, verse 2, he said, Rabbi, we know that thou art a teacher teacher cometh from God. For no man can do what? These miracles that thou doest. It's not possible. No man can do these miracles that thou doest except, guess what? God be with him. Nicodemus was saying it is impossible that someone that was a rot gut sinner could turn his life around, that someone that was all the way out there that could come into the folds of God and have joy and peace and begin to live right and walk right. This is impossible, but with God, brother and sister, all things are possible. There is nothing too hard for God when you trust in God. He said no man can do these miracles. Nicodemus was testifying that these miracles are impossible, what we're seeing. And so if we're seeing these things, he said he was telling Jesus, he said, you have to be the Messiah. And so Nicodemus, you know the account, began to even ask, what must I do? Look at the miracle that he wanted. He wanted the miracle, guess what, of salvation. He wanted to understand how to get right. And Jesus said, you must be born again. Oh, you've got to get saved. You've got to accept God. The first miracle and the greatest miracle is when a man or a woman come to God and he washes away their sins and forgive them from all unrighteousness. all talking about miracles. Oh, miracles happen, brother and sister. Miracles have been happening and still happening. The greatest miracle is people getting saved. The greatest miracle, listen, even in Scripture, the Bible said when they came to Jesus that time to be healed, the Bible said before he healed them, he said, thy sins, guess what? Be forgiven, guess what? Thee. Why? Oh, but Jesus, I didn't come for my sins to be forgiven. I came because I got a pain in my back. I pain because this is not right. I'm praying because the devil or the doctor said this is wrong with me. But Jesus said, before I meet that need, I want to meet the greatest need in your life. I want to forgive you. I want to wash you. I want to cleanse you. I want to make you right. I want you to be saved. That's the greatest miracle. When we look back over our life, brother and sister, we can say, I am a living miracle. I am a living miracle. You can look back over your life and say, if it wasn't for the Lord, and I say it all the time, but I'm telling you the truth. If it wasn't for the Lord on my side, there are some folks that meant it for my evil. There are some folks that was wishing I would be out of this. There were some folks that set a trap and a snare, but I'm glad that I serve a God that even when they tried, they could not prosper. They fell at my right hand and at my left hand. But that did not come nigh me because the God that I serve was with me. Why? There are many people. You can look back over your life and see the different things. And all you can testify is this is nothing but the grace and the mercy, guess what, of Almighty God. Every now and then, I don't know about you, but every now and then I like to sit back and I like to just think about the goodness of God. I like to think about that little boy that was drowning in the water and God sent somebody to pull him out. I like to think about that little boy that was lost at an amusement park and God made sure that no one harmed him and no one did him wrong. I like to think about the goodness of God, how he kept his hand even when I was not trying to be right. He was making me what I should be. He was looking after me. He was taking care of me. He's a good God. Look at all these things. And those are the things, brother and sister, I know. Only heaven will reveal the things I did not know. The times it should have happened. The time the devil had me in his grasp. But as the song said, Jesus came and grabbed me. Oh, when the devil thought he had me, he came and grabbed me. There is a lot of cases you'll testify and learn of when you get there, that how many times that the devil had you blocked on all four sides, but the devil forgot one thing, that God was above, and he picked you up out of the mess that you were in and placed your feet on a solid rock, and the enemy is still trying to find out, how did you get out of that? Because the God I serve knows how to make a way out of no way. He knows how to work a miracle in your life today. He knows how to do it. Nobody can save like Jesus. Salvation cannot be mimicked. It cannot be duplicated. It doesn't matter how people try to act. Salvation cannot be made over or done by somebody else. Only Jesus, brother and sister, can save a man. Only Jesus can save a woman. Religion is not salvation. Religion not being saved. Religion is going through the motion with no reality. That's all religion is. It's going through the motion with no reality. 2 Timothy chapter 3 and verse 5 said it this way. It has a form of godliness, he said. He said, but it denies, guess what? the power. What power does religion deny? Religion denied the power to change. Religion denied the power to live right. And so when you have religion, you don't have power. But when you get saved, God puts power down in your soul. And the things you thought you couldn't do, the things you thought you couldn't walk away from, the things you thought you couldn't let go of, God gave you power, and you came out of that mess because of the grace of God and the mercy of God. Nobody can save like Jesus. You can look for another, but you'll never find anybody that ever pull a man out of sin, pull a woman out of sin. Only Jesus can save. But brother and sister, only Jesus can heal also. There is no other that can heal like Jesus. Brother and sister, there's a lot of people that play doctors. They like to act like they know what's going on with you. They read all your charts, and I'm not finding faults with them, and they say this and they say that. But all they're doing is practicing, guess what, medicine. And what I try to do is not let them practice on me a whole lot. But they try to practice medicine. I just want to see if this works. Well, work it on somebody else, and if it don't work on them, don't give it to me. But you see, a lot of times they're practicing, and that's what they can do because they don't know how these things work. But I'm glad, brother and sister, that there is a doctor that is above every doctor. There is a physician that still makes house calls. There is a physician that can go to you when you can't come to him. There is a physician that can make a way out of no way when you really trust in the Lord thy God. There is a great physician. Most doctors say, come to me. Jesus still came to you and I first. Before we loved him, he first loved us. Brother and sister, when we were not trying to come to him, he came. He came to us. He's a doctor that really cares. He's not just a doctor with a name or a degree behind him, but doesn't really care. He's a doctor that cares about everything about you. And so when you couldn't even come, when I couldn't even come, when we didn't know the directions, when we didn't know how to get to him, he said, you don't have to come to me. I'm going to come where you're at. I'm going to knock on your door. I'm going to try to help you. And I'm glad that he loved me enough to help me in spite of trying to help myself. He still makes house calls. There's still healing, guess what, in his wings. Malachi chapter 4 and verse 2 says this. He said, but unto you that fear my name, unto you that fear my name, shall the Son of righteousness arise with healing, guess what, in his wing. He said he will arise. He will come to you. He will be there. And I'm glad, brother and sister, when I needed him, I called. I may not have known how to get to him, but all I said was, Jesus, it's me in the need of prayer. Jesus, forgive me. Jesus, have mercy on me. And somehow, some way, God made his way to me. Somehow, God made a difference in my life. Healing. He is able to heal all. There is no sickness, brother and sister, no disease, no situation. There is nothing that God cannot heal. When we bring it, guess what? To him. When we bring it to him, brother and sister, the blind see. He showed us. That's what he said. Go tell John. He said, the blind see. Why? Because there's nothing too hard for me. He said, go tell John the lame walk because there's nothing too hard for me. He said, go tell John the lepers, oh, brother and sister, are cleansed. He said, because there's nothing too hard for me. He said, go tell John the deaf hear. He said, because there's nothing too hard for me. He said, go tell John the dead is raised. He said, because there is nothing too hard for me. And I don't know what your issue is, but I want you to know it's not too hard for God. If you bring it to him, he can heal like no other. Why would you look for another when there's no one else that can open the blind's eyes? No one else can cause the lame to walk, the deaf to hear. No one else can raise the dead, cause any of these diseases to go away. Is there anything too hard for God? Anything too hard for the Lord? Not when Jesus is your Lord. You see, when you look for another for your healing, for your direction, for your salvation, for the answer to your prayer, you're looking to the wrong one. When Jesus is your Lord, there is nothing that is too hard. There's no sickness or anything that cannot be accomplished or defeated. Isaiah 53 and verse 5, let us see this. When Jesus is your Lord, the Bible says he was wounded for our transgression. When he's your Lord, he tells us, the Bible said he was bruised for our iniquity. Because he's our Lord, these things, brothers and sisters, he did for us. He said the chastisement of our peace was upon him. And because of his stripes, everything you face is healed. Because he's my Lord. So why would I look for another when there is no other that can heal like he can heal? Lastly, brother and sister, there is no other that should be worshiped. There is no other that should be worshiped. People are always looking for another. They will worship at any altar. They will praise anything. They will make a lot of things their God, and they'll say, but I didn't make it my God. But when they put it before God, it is a God. And they worship these things, and they honor these things, and they put it before God. But Jesus said, there is no other. He said there in John chapter 10 and verse 8, all that ever came before me are thieves and robbers. But he went on and he said, but the sheep, they did not hear them. Why did the sheep not get carried away to another? He said, because my sheep knoweth my voice. They're not looking for another. Someone that's really been born again is not looking for something else to worship or something else to serve or someone else to follow. They already found what they were looking for. They found their joy. They found their hope. They found their peace. They found it in Jesus. I'm not looking for anything else. I just want God. They found everything that they were looking for in Jesus. And so certain sounds don't bother them. Certain things that people are doing, the Bible lets us know, brother and sister, that the sheep of God are not fooled. Because they are the true worshipers of God. And the true worshipers of God, brother and sister, they worship God. The God in the Bible tells us they worship God in spirit and guess what? In truth. In other words, brother and sister, they don't need the sounds to get them to feel like they're serving God. They don't need some good talking person to make them feel like they're serving God. There's something down on the inside in their heart and in their soul that says, I serve the true and the living God, and him only will I serve. I'm going to worship him. I'm going to honor him. I'm going to magnify him. I don't have time for the world. I just want to walk with God. He said there in John chapter 4 and verse 23, the true worshipers worship the Father in spirit and in truth. They're not looking. They've already found. So why would they seek another to serve when they already found what satisfies? When they already found what brings joy? When they already found what brings them peace? Jesus satisfied. If no one ever told you that, Jesus truly does satisfy. Now the devil don't want people to know that. And that's why he tries to give them everything else to satisfy them. He wants them to believe that if you have this is going to satisfy. You notice how the devil gives them everything but Jesus? Why? Why does he show everything and offer them everything but Jesus? Because he knows the only true satisfaction is only in Jesus. Guess what? Christ. He understands that everything else in the world will build you up and let you down. Everything else in the world will come and go away. But he says there is one thing that will stand with you throughout eternity. That's that man called Jesus. When you have nobody else, you'll still have Jesus. When you got no money, you'll still have Jesus. When there's no peace in your life, you still got Jesus. He satisfies. He satisfies. I love reading the account, brother and sister, about the widow woman with the 2 mites. She's a widow woman, and she's got only 2 mites. And you don't hear her complaining. You don't hear her whining. You don't hear her mad, saying, I don't understand why God would allow this to happen to me. What you see her doing, brother and sister, is you seeing her going to the place where she's supposed to honor and worship and give and do what she's supposed to do. She's not worried about what she don't have. She's thankful to God that I still have a God that cares about me. Brother and sister, she was satisfied. He may not have given me a Rolls Royce, but he gave me 2 feet to walk with. He did not give me, brother and sister, filet mignon, but long as he gave me something to eat, I'm thankful for the God that I serve. I'm thankful for the God that satisfies me. Him only will I serve. The devil doesn't want you to know that. Because if you ever really taste of the goodness of God, you will say exactly what Jesus said. Luke 4:8. Come on, Sister Jason. He said, get thee behind me, Satan. He said, get thee behind me, Satan. For it is written, thou shalt worship the Lord thy God, and him only shall thou serve. He was saying without a doubt, who else is there to serve? Who else other than God? Brother and sister, there is no other. Jesus is all you'll ever need. As you bow your heads and close your eyes, Jesus is all you ever need. You can search the world all over. You can get the finest things you think that will satisfy. But when you get it, you'll look for another. When you drive it, you'll look for another. When you live in it, you'll look for another. When you wear it, you'll look for another. When you date it, if it doesn't satisfy, you're going to look for another. But when you let Jesus be Jesus, you don't have to look for another. Your salvation is in him. Your healing is in him. Your forgiveness, your mercy, your grace is in him. And that's why he's the only one that should ever be worshiped. Tonight, these altars are open. As you begin to sing, why don't we find a place to pray?
Not because I've been so faithful, not because I've been so good. You've always been there for me to
Jesus, I love you.
Jesus, I love you.
Oh, because you care.
Because you care.
I couldn't imagine
I couldn't imagine
you weren't there.
if you weren't there.
Oh, Jesus, I love you.
Jesus, I love you.
Oh,
Because you care. I couldn't imagine if you weren't there.
That's what he wants from us, is just to love him with all of our heart, our soul, our mind, and strength. There will